How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of the Apples and Genos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. It's another midweek edition. I'm Josh Hutchinson, and my co-host John is back, baby. What's up, Binksy?
Mr. Hutchinson, man. I'm back in the saddle, my friend. I took a few days off last week to be with family because of a bit of a health scare during the Super Bowl, but I'm feeling great. Bathing in the victory green afterglow of last night's OT win against Winnipeg, and I'm ready to talk hockey. Yeah, up there and close, man. I got a cheap ticket in the lower bowl, seized the opportunity, and I was in there. It was a great game. I'm digging the intro music. This is the vibe. I feel good about this.
Yeah, man, I like it too. Shout out to the band There, who's provided us with some intro and outro music for the audio podcast. There's a link to their Spotify page in the description of the audio feeds. And as usual, if you haven't already, we'd love it if you gave us a nice review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or both. It's great to hear your feedback, and it helps the pod reach more people that may be interested. We're also on YouTube. We're streaming live right now, and there will be a video archived on the YouTube channel that you can watch at your leisure. Also, if you want to support Apples and Genos, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/applesgenos. Each monthly tier includes exclusive perks, including extra waiver wire articles, monthly fantasy team assessments from Nate himself, and stat card requests from TJ Stats. So, John, let's do some must-make moves.
I'm ready.
All right. So must-make moves is where we pick 4 different players to focus on. One of them we're going to be adding. One of them we're going to be dropping. One of them we're trading for. And one of them we're trading away. I'm going to start. This week.
Fired up.
So I'm going to talk about a player you should add. So if you haven't been paying attention to the Montreal Canadiens, they've been playing a lot better since they fired Dom Ducharme and hired Marty St. Louis. And they're currently on a 4-game winning streak, which is crazy because I think before this streak, they'd only won 8 games all year. But a big reason for that is that Cole Caufield finally has a heartbeat. He has 6 goals and 10 points in 7 games since St. Louis was hired. He was having one of the most disappointing rookie seasons that I can remember, only scoring 1 goal and 8 points in his first 30 games. But yeah, it was absolutely brutal. He's clearly found his confidence, though, as he's looking like the player everyone expected him to be. And a big part of that is because of his deployment. He's playing on the first line with Suzuki, who's also been really hot lately. And he's playing on PP1. Which, I mean, he arguably should have been the entire year.
I didn't understand that
I don't get it at all either. Dom Ducharme, I think I've talked about it before. I think he's an absolute garbage coach. But he was putting him on the 3rd and 4th line, which is absolute bullshit. So no more of that. His ice time shot up from 13 to 14 minutes a game, up to 18 to 19 in the last 5 games. That's a huge increase. And I'm actually going to just read a tweet from Jay Fresh here. He said the other day, writing a 3,000-word article about how Martin St. Louis taught Cole Caufield that he should shoot 42% instead of 1%, which is a funny way of saying that this is probably a crazy overcorrection as far as positive regression goes. He was extremely unlucky as far as shooting goes before. And now I think he's getting lucky to a certain extent, but I think the deployment, I think being put in a position to succeed, that can't really be understated. His underlying stats in terms of offensive generation haven't really gone up significantly. So like I said, it's probably some wild overcorrection in terms of positive regression, but he's definitely got his confidence back. So I would be picking him up for at least a stream. Although his rostership has jumped up to 50%. I think I checked earlier in the week and it was at 32. So it's climbing fast. So I'd grab him soon.
There's a lot of people that were waiting for this moment that either drafted him or just, were a big fan of his coming into the league and the absolute, just wild talent that he possesses. I'm a big fan of Caufield and fans in terms of his talent. And I expected the time on ice to spike with Marty at the helm because, he is that kind of player and he wants those kind of players on his team, I assume. I see nothing wrong with using him as a spot starter when appropriate. He's on short leash status for me, for sure. I don't know that I'm jumping to add him, but I don't think it's crazy to expect him to play to his talent level, which is what he's doing right now. I think you're on the nose about it being a little bit lucky in the opposite direction of bad luck coming into the season, and probably the same thing for them as a whole. But I like it. I'm not mad at it. I wasn't one of those people who spent a draft pick on him, so I wasn't, terribly torn up when he was having just a trash beginning and middle part of the year. But who's on your drop radar?
I am going to be calling out another Avalanche player here, as I did a couple weeks ago. Andre Burakovsky has gone ice cold with only 5 assists in his last 14 games. He has less than 2 shots per game over that same span. And he's not really a big peripheral player. So if he's not scoring, he's not bringing you anything. This cold streak is kind of puzzling, considering he's still playing with Kadri on the second line, who continues to just rack up the points. He plays on power play 2, but they're leaning very heavily on power play 1 lately. So he's not getting many opportunities there. But he's still 67% rostered. And I imagine that's primarily because of the team that he plays on. I think that's a little too high, as I imagine Burakovsky owners and streamers have been pretty disappointed and frustrated of late, as he hasn't really been doing anything. So I'm dropping him if there's an enticing waiver wire option out there.
Josh, is there a more confusing situation to approach than second-tier Avalanche players?
I don't know.
I can't get it right. It seems like anytime I tick the box of a Burakovsky and a Chushkin and a JT Compher, even Abi Kubel in a couple of instances, or any one of the other ilk on that level on the team, one of the others is the one to capitalize. It's never the one that I pick. I've missed in DFS. I've missed in my own stream choices. I've even missed in suggestions in the Apples and Genos Discord when people are like, what do you think between these two guys? I never picked the right one, and I picked them for good reasons, what I feel like are good opportunities or good matchups for them in terms of, line-to-line looks. I think I need to involve TJ Stats in this mess because I can't make heads or tails of it, man. I've dropped him this season at least twice now, picking him up in streaming options. I've used many of those people in that list in DFS and had just absolute skunkers. And I don't see myself going back to the well here. Like, I keep getting burned, and I don't know why. So I'm just trying other stuff now. Recently, I've actually tried your Clayton Keller suggestion.
Hey, nice.
Rather than continuing to go to this well where I get nothing from it. So
yeah, he's still been really good. Keller's still killing it. So
it worked. It worked.
Definitely.
It worked just fine. It was a great pickup. So
there's one success story for me. I think I've spewed a lot of bad advice lately. So
you know what? I gotta make a call back to the last episode with you and Nate and talking about the goaltending in Edmonton. He's terrible again. He had an absolutely awful. I saw a stat where he's let in like 8 goals in 12 shots or something like that. Like,
yeah, and it's and the goals are not good.
He's terrible.
There's a lot of stinkers. No, yeah, that's very true.
He's like, see, he had 2 good games, so what do we know? And I'm like, see, after that,
no, we were right.
Terrible ones,
we were right in the first place, I think. Yeah. John, who are you trading for?
All right, so as for I do feel confident about, I'm turning to Carolina. I'm trying to catch the wave rising for Jacob Slavin, with Tony D turning into Tony IR for at least the next month. Their recent tweet said is round about at least a month. So I think this is a prime opportunity to get the D1 and PP1 QB in Carolina at an absolute steal. His 60% rostership is sure to rise alongside his value, and you're probably going to find that he's already on a squad in your league. But I don't think anyone considers him untouchable. And if he's on a team that is a playoff lock, they're probably willing to sell him to you for some sort of long-term return. I wouldn't be surprised to see his recent point per game trend continue over the last 8. He's like up above a point per game. He's doing the little stuff even more than he was. And his shift time is certainly going to jump. In the last couple of games, it's gone up like almost 10 minutes per game. So there was value before the injury. And I think it's a natural shift to expect value to follow volume on this one. And I like pretty much anybody on Carolina. I'm a big fan of the team in general. And I think there's a lot of pretty easily gotten value. A lot of the time, I kind of shoot for the stars with my trade for players, but I think this one is a more realistic option, and there's at least a month of prime value there. So if you need it and you need it now, I think this is a great opportunity. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. Jacob Slavin. I mean, he's not really known as a big point getter, but like you said, if he's quarterbacking PP1 for the next little while, and especially if D'Angelo's out for over a month, like you said, that puts you pretty close to playoff time. So I think Slayman could be a bit of a diamond in the rough in that regard. I think he does some peripherals pretty well. It usually gets you a lot of blocks. So in Cats leagues, I think he's got a little bit more value than in points. But yeah, that power play is strong. And if he's on it, he's going to be getting points. And like you said, one of the league leaders in time on ice, and that's only going to increase. I saw the other day I was watching a Canes game, and they put up a stat of like all on back-to-backs, the top 10 time on ice for a defenseman in Carolina Hurricanes history. Just such a weird stat, but Slavin and Pesci, that pairing had like multiple appearances on that list, along with like Yoni Pitkinen and some
Reaching way in the bag for that one.
way back. Yoni Pitkinen was all over that list, but yeah. So I definitely support that choice there.
Nice.
Who are you trading away?
So I'm going back to Montreal for my trade away. Obviously, it's a feel-good story for Habs watchers right now. I mean, they're putting up 3, 4, 5 goals a game. They've got a win streak going for the first time all year, I would assume. Caufield doesn't have the pedigree to have been held all this time through all of the tough stuff. He was a drop for a lot of people when they just kind of realized they couldn't hold on to zero production like that. Jeff Petry, on the other hand, has been a topic of discussion all year long. People never knew what to do with him. He was right up there with Tyson Barrie as what am I going to do about this? I spent so much high draft capital. I can't drop him. He's not doing anything for me. Nobody wants him. So his surge since St. Louis' arrival has managers feeling good about their high draft pick capital again. So if you're wanting to get out from under him, his game log has finally something worth dangling in front of others. He's doing a lot of everything. He's hitting, he's blocking, he's shooting a ton. His time on ice is back where we all assumed it would be. Like inexplicably, he was getting, 13 minutes a game, and that's not the case anymore. I don't see it as sustainable. The time on ice is back up. The shots, the hits are all increased. But I just don't see it continuing much like their current win streak. I think it's a feel-good story at the moment, and he doesn't get PP1 time, oddly enough, for one of the best players on their team. So I think you take the best-case scenario sales route, leave out the power play note, and turn him into a value higher than his rising 60% rostership.
Yeah, I drafted Petry in the A&G Patron League this year, and he was just one of the biggest disappointments, I think, of the year. I drafted him in like the 6th or 7th round, and he did basically nothing. I couldn't believe it. Like, I don't think he scored a goal until almost the new year this year, which is crazy because he was like almost a Norris Trophy. He was like a fringe Norris Trophy candidate last year. He was unreal. So it's crazy that he's not on either power play right now. Because at the start of the year he was on the power play on PP1. I really thought with Shea Weber gone that he would be a fantastic option on PP1, but apparently not. So that definitely hurts his value. He only has, I think, 11 points this year. But like you said, he is playing a little bit better, so I think his value is probably as high as it's going to be, unless he
Yeah.
starts miraculously scoring at 5-on-5 again.
In this last 2 weeks, I think he's had the production matching his entire rest of the year production. So
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
if there was a time to move that value, I think it's right now.
Absolutely.
Have you moved him? Or are you still holding on to him and reaping the benefits?
I dropped him. Oh man, it takes a lot for me to drop someone that I've drafted that high, but I dropped him I think in November. Like he was so bad, like just zeros across the board every single game, and I just like I couldn't. I think there was an enticing option. I don't remember who I picked up, but there's an enticing option that I felt like might have been Chikrin actually, because he was also struggling, but I felt like
Had a better
it was
opportunity there.
exactly. So Petry's been in trade talks as well too, so that would be something to look out for. But yeah, no, I'm with you there. I can get on board with that.
I'm moving him if I've got him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to flip it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to Stream Save Sucks. So that's the game where we choose a percent roster ship, and we pick 3 players that are hovering around that same roster ship. And just for fun, we try to decide out of the 3 who we'd be saving, who we would be streaming, and who we would be dropping, or in our words, who sucks. So this week, what number did you come up with here?
So I couldn't find any inspiration this week for a number, so I literally downloaded a random number generator and had it throw up a number. The first number was 3, and I was like, that's
maybe not.
maybe not. Maybe that's a list full of sucks. So I hit it one more time, and it gave me 55, and that felt like a good, odd, weird number to just put in there. A very hockey number. 55% puts us with, looks like Raymond, Perrone, Eriksson Ek, Chandler Stevenson, Tyler Toffoli, and Boone Jenner. We've talked about a few of those before. So I think we do Raymond, Eriksson Ek, and Toffoli. We run Perfect. With those?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, you're on the docket. What do you think?
All right. Well, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, I feel good about this one.
I think depending on the type of league you're in, they're all pretty close. I think Eriksson Ek and Toffoli are both kind of up in the air for me. With Toffoli playing right now, he's not getting a ton of minutes in Calgary right now. I think he would be much more enticing if he was playing a little higher in the lineup. And I think that may happen, to be honest. But I'm not sure right now. So
a little bit.
So to me, I think he's your stream. Eriksson Ek in a Cats league, I think might be your save. I think Eriksson Ek's your save. Lucas Raymond, to me, I'm dropping him just because his numbers on the season look nice, but a lot of his goals and assists came in the first chunk of the year. He's really, really slowed down, and he has picked it up a little bit of late. But Detroit, I think, is not really a great situation. So I think I'm saving Eriksson Ek. He also plays on PP1. He's third. He plays on the third line in Minnesota, but he plays on PP1, so that's a big factor. So I'm saving him. I am streaming Toffoli, and Raymond sucks, man. There you have it.
Makes me laugh every time. I could see that. I'm not beholden to that stance, but I can see it. I don't have any beef with it. I think Toffoli is my save. I see even better things happening for the Flames. He could not have gone to a better situation for him.
Yeah.
It's just, he's playing on a team that suits his abilities with other players that play the way he plays.
With a coach that he's had success with before,
Exactly.
that knows him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Which I think is a big reason that they went out and got him.
totally.
Eriksson Ek, you really can't dismiss him just based on the situation that he's in. I'm not wowed by him as a player, but that team is they're just a monster. So like we were talking about with PP1 deployment in Carolina, if you can get a player in that option in a team with that kind of firepower, you just kind of have to take it. I like Raymond. I think he's a player that's going to be a force in the league for years to come. I'm going to go with Eriksson Ek is my stream and Toffoli is my save. That's just personal bias, I think. I don't think you'd be wrong to go with your stance, but Raymond is the sucks for me, and it kind of hurts, but Detroit's on the downslope right now, so I don't feel bad about it.
That being said, if it's a dynasty league, I'm probably saving Raymond just because I think he is going to be the best. He will be the best player of the three down the line, but I think this season I'm probably dropping him in a redraft league.
I wish I had some sort of better reasoning as to why he fell off so hard. Obviously, there's the mystical rookie wall, and things are just difficult in Detroit in general right now.
Yeah, I think that's a big factor. Detroit, I think just as a team, they've cooled off. So hard to raise yourself to the level that you were when the team was red hot. So all right, let's do some eye test corner. So what are you seeing?
As I alluded to a little bit ago, my eye test was live and in person this week. I caught the Stars at home against the Jets on Pride Night. Slogan this year was "Y'all means all," and I definitely agree with all of that sentiment.
That's awesome.
I really, really wish the Stars would sell their event jerseys rather than just auction them off, because I really don't want to pay $700 for a Michael Ruffle jersey. I just, I don't want to do it. They're super, super dope jerseys, but I'm not paying that much money. It's just not happening. So I was closer than ever because of the ice storm. Kept most fans at home, and the lower bowl tickets were a steal. I managed to get one right behind 2 periods behind Ottinger. So my focus was on a select few in this one. I kept tabs on Wheeler, who's especially hot right now. We've talked about him a few times, and he carries my interest week to week. I honed in on Tyler Seguin because his recent production tells a better story than the first few months, and I'm really curious about our propensity to be wrong on this show. So of course, 2 periods up close on Jake Ottinger was a really fun one. I love being close to the goalies. Both teams looked pretty sloppy overall. There was a lot of errant passes, a lot of chasing the puck back into the defensive end and regrouping and line switching just because you couldn't make 2 passes in a row. Wheeler looked better than I remember, but that very well may have been the Klingberg effect. There's a lot of players on Dallas that just kind of go human turnstile against the opponent's best option. So Seguin, on the other hand, looked pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised, and I don't say that lightly at all. Like, I definitely did not see that in the cards for him, not just in the end of this year, but really anymore in his career. I'm wondering if all of us putting him out to pasture may have been a bit premature, if he may just have needed actual months on the ice to really get back into his skating again. What I really loved about him was the way that he was productive, not just that he was productive. He didn't sit on the dot waiting for the offense at all. A lot of games, he just kind of waits for that pass on the power play or waits for that pass on the dot just to fire it 4 feet above the goalie. And there really wasn't any of that. There was a ton of generation on his part, and in a persistent fashion that was highlighted in the OT putback goal. He was really involved in the puck. He made a lot of great passes that turned into goals. Ottinger is a pretty clear, comfortable number 1 in net for them at this point. I think he really looks solid. I feel I feel really, really reinvigorated as a Stars fan, just kind of watching him. I don't feel like it's one game on and one game off for him anymore. There's less and less reason to think it's a 50-50 split in Dallas. I think Holtby is probably going to really seriously be like the second goalie in Dallas for the near future. So if you're on the hunt for a Tendy hold, Otter is your guy for sure.
Yeah, I think people are starting to figure out that Ottinger is he's the real deal. I think his rostership has gone up a little bit lately. He's not as available as he used to be, but he still is very available. I think, and Dallas has been quietly really hot the last month or two. So picking up Jake Ottinger, he's like a 0G gem this year for sure. Sagan, I think you're probably right. Maybe we were a little bit premature to
he just looks so bad and sluggish though.
Yeah, and I think it's tough because the surgery that he had, like he had a hip surgery. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, actually, both hips.
Like that's pretty significant. Like it's pretty difficult to come back from that. And a lot of times you see players that have significant surgeries on their knees and hips that just can't get it back. So I mean, that was a tough situation. I'm really happy that he's playing better. I really like Tyler Seguin. I'm curious what you mean by Wheeler making Klingberg, or the Klingberg effect, I guess, is what you said.
If you've ever heard me talk about the Stars, you know that I hate Klingberg. I can't stand him. We paid a bunch of money to a dude whose actual job it is to play defense, and he doesn't. My dad and I call him the human turnstile. He is just constantly spun around. He is such a big, wide stance that a player with any foot speed just goes right by him. And in today's NHL, that's what happens. They just go right by him every time. And because his value is centered around him being an offensive defenseman, he takes a lot of chances that get him beat in breakaway situations. And that's how you lose hockey games. You don't win hockey games by firing one from the point and it being deflected in every fifth game, right? Which is what he does. You lose hockey games by taking chances and getting just turnstiled by players like Wheeler. So when his name came up in trade talks, I was over the moon. I was like, this is the best thing ever. Please get him off my team before he comes up and we A, pay him, or B, get nothing in return for, a player that holds value across the league but does not hold value to me. And especially considering he's taking ice time away from a player that I really, really, really want on the ice all the time in Heiskanen. So,
that makes me nervous because all I'm hearing is the Leafs being in on Klingberg.
Oh, he's very much a Leafs player. Very much a Leafs player.
Oh my God, that sounds exactly not what they need at all. Like they have an abundance of guys.
My dream scenario is us managing to get Bunting in return for Klingberg.
Oh wow!
And I don't even care if we spend picks on it because we rarely make great picks. So I think Heiskanen and Ottinger are like, pretty much it for us. So
I kind of just hope it doesn't happen.
I do.
I hope for your sake that he gets traded, and for his sake, because it sounds like he's unhappy for whatever reason. But
I think he's unhappy because they're calling him out about the fact that he doesn't play defense. Bones is one of those coaches who's definitely going into the locker room and just spitting in his face about playing defense. He
doesn't pull punches. So we'll jump into the mailbag now. I sent the call out for mailbag questions a little bit late today, so we didn't really get very many. Thankfully, the Mark Skinner, Old Faithful, he sent in a multiple. So we'll answer some of his questions. So first off, he asks, "Is Boldy still a hold in points leagues?" What do you think?
The last time I was talking on this podcast, I said Boldy's name literally 8 times, and I'm going to say it 8 more times today.
Yep.
Boldy is a bona fide player.
Yep.
If he is available in your league, then you need to find a better league to play in because he's fantastic and he is playing on just a rocket ship of a team. Toss the wagon term out the window. They are headed into the stratosphere, and he is going there with them. And he's a big part of the reason it's happening. You've got to be a considerable talent to displace Hartman on Power Play 1 when they were already being so successful. And in watching Wild games, even when he is not the person getting the points on their power play, he is still facilitating them scoring. Like, he is a serious talent, and I'm holding him no matter what, like down streak or not. They're such a good team, and they have a great slate 24 through 26 this year. You've got to be in on Boldy. You've got to.
Totally. And his points have come in bunches. He has gone games without points, but like he's not cold by any means. Like he's doing quite well. He has a point tonight actually against the Leafs. So and yeah, line 2, power play 1. You can't really argue with that. Minnesota's incredible. So he's I'm 100. Long story short, I am 100% holding him.
I'm in. Boldy.
So the next player you asked about was Eriksson Ek. So same question: is Eriksson Ek a hold?
I don't know if Eriksson Ek is a hold. I think you can find similar value across the league. If you can't, there's no reason to just move on from him. But there's other players out there that might be more opportune for you in that week. I think he's a viable player on your team, but if you happen to get a good drop in your league and you say, how is this person dropped? What is happening? Definitely he's on the short list to go off the team for you. He's in a great situation. He's a good player. There's nothing wrong with it, but is it a surefire hold like I feel about Boldy? Not really.
I think like we talked about him before in the stream, safe sucks. But he I think in Cats leagues he's probably a hold just because he hits. But he plays on the third line, so his time on ice isn't necessarily fantastic, but he does play on PP1 too. So he's also been actually pretty hot lately. He's been a point per game in the last 4 or 5 games. So I'd be holding him for now, but I don't know if he's a hold rest of season. I definitely sway towards holding him in Cats leagues, but
I think you're right. In a points league, not so much. In a Cats league, it's pretty easy to hold him there.
It depends on what else is out there, really.
Yeah, I think that's probably the more important part of the question in regards to Eriksson Ek on the hold is who you're gonna bring in as opposed to him going out is the harder answer there. Yeah.
These last couple of questions, they'll be short and sweet. So again, from Mark Skinner, any word on McCann who's mysteriously on IR? I looked this up. I couldn't really find much.
I didn't know anything about this until I saw the question.
Yeah, so I did because I was looking. I have McCann in a couple leagues, and I was looking last minute, and I saw that TJ Oshie. I got a notification that he was playing tonight, and I was like,
"What?
Oh!" And I have him stashed on an IR on one of my teams, so I was like, "Oh, maybe I can get him in the lineup. Who should I drop?" And then I looked, and I saw McCann was on the IR. I was like, "That's weird." That kind of came out of nowhere. So he. It sounds like it's an upper body injury. It's undisclosed. They haven't said much about it other than Dave Haxtell said he hopes that it won't be too long. It sounds like maybe it's not a long-term injury. So that's all I know, because that's all that's out there, really, unless there's something that I'm missing. So have you had McCann in any of your leagues? Have you streamed him at all?
So I've gone back and forth in that same discussion that you and Nate had last week about McCann and Eberle. Mm-hmm. And in those situations where I have considered a Seattle player and actually pulled the trigger on it, it has been Eberle. But that's just been based on my rosters. I'm pretty well set at center and at left wing. So in the moments where I needed production and I was thinking about a Seattle player, I went with Eberle. So my attention to the actual like underlying reasoning behind players in Seattle has not really been on McCann. So after listening to the pod, I looked into it a bit more. And I think they're both viable options. I mean, we've talked about it before. There's definitely opportunity to be had between those two guys. But I've always sided on Eberle when going down that road. So
yeah, McCann's kind of a badge of honor I've been wearing this year because he was on my radar in the draft. I felt like he was a guy that was going to succeed in a bigger role, especially at the start of the year with Yanni Gourde being out.
okay.
So I really felt like he was going to do something. So that's a hunch that I was right about and that I was pretty stoked about, to be honest.
So I've got a question I want to throw
Yeah.
into the mailbag then that just occurred to me.
Sure.
In your drafts this year, what was the hunch that you took out on that you were absolutely wrong about? Not necessarily a bad draft pick early, but one of those players you were looking at, you were eyeing later in drafts, or you just kind of felt like was flying under the radar. Who did you completely miss on?
I'd have to. Actually, I do. I drafted Alexis Lafreniere because I felt like he was going to break out this year. Yeah, that's your guy.
That was exactly who I was thinking of when I asked you that question, dude.
I really felt like he was going to do something
Primed.
this year. Yeah, and
right.
He was, and it looked like at the start of the year he was going to play on the top line, and he has at times. But even when he's been there, he hasn't really done a heck of a lot. So
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping he's not a bust, but
it kind of looks like it though.
It looks like he may be.
Plus, he really has the face of a bust. When you look at him, you're like, that's not a successful dude. You look at him and you go, your name is Alexis Lafreniere, and you're like, that fits. You're not a superstar, are you? And he's like, I'm not. They thought I was, but I'm not. This question I've got to fire at you because this one is just absolutely perfect. So our fearless leader, Nate, wants to know, will you ever lose some categories in the Patron League so that he can get that buy spot?
So, I mean, ideally, no. I do have some stiff competition coming up. Nate, I think, is the only team that's beat me twice in this league. But other than that, my team's been very hot lately. I'm not one to gloat, but because
I mean, facts are facts, buddy.
I'm scared of jinxing myself, but I have some stiff competition coming up in the coming weeks. I'm playing the guy in 4th place right now, but I am in 1st place and like pretty comfortably in 1st place right now. I think I'm up. Let me look at the standings here. I got 194 points and 2nd place is 181. So 13 points up on 2nd place. So that's pretty nice. Nate's down in 3rd at 179. So he's getting closer. I think
I like how you say down. You're looking down at 3rd place.
Yeah, down at 3rd place.
Way down.
Well, I mean, Nate, what I would say to you is I believe the first 2, I could be wrong about this, but I think in the league settings, the first 2 teams get a bye, and you're only 2 points back of 2nd place. So
6 teams go to the playoffs in the Patron League.
I believe so.
It should be two buys.
So you're pretty damn close, Nate. I think. Let me see how we're doing this week. This is terrible for the audio, but the matchups this week. Let's take a look. Super Troopers is in 2nd place. Let's see. Super Troopers. He's up 7-2 on Toaster Stutzla. And
that's a good one.
And that is a good one. Nate is up 5-3 on Fiddy's Finest. So Nate, don't lose hope. You can still pull into 2nd place. I'm hoping that I don't jinx myself here, but I'm sitting pretty there in 1st, and I'm quite happy about it.
I'm pretty solidly in the playoffs in my leagues, but in none
good.
of them am I going to be a buy. So I've kind of
This is the
given
only
up
one.
on that dream. So
This is the only one for me. I've been pretty fortunate. Some nice stream and holds because my draft wasn't particularly that great. Like I looked back and I drafted Petry. Obviously, I talked about that before. Dropped him. Lafreniere, that was another one that I picked there.
Yeah.
Dropped him pretty quick. So
I had a similar story, but my strikeout was, of course, was Tyson Berry. So similar.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then Lafreniere, of course, but I did okay. I did okay in my drafts. I tend to do okay.
Same. I picked up Joe Pavelski. This is the league where I picked up Pavelski off waivers for free. So that was that was extremely.
He's the
lucky.
reason you're in first place. Then
he is a big reason why I'm in first place. Yeah, you're right. All right. Well, I think that's all we got today. Let's just do we have anything else? No, I don't think so. Join John, Nate, and myself and hundreds of others in the Discord to talk some fantasy hockey. Check out our TikTok, and you can also find us on Twitter. John's at Binklemania. I'm at JustJoshin41, and Nate's at Apples Genos.
Josh, before we go out, I got to tell people, hit me up in the Discord or on the Twitter. I need some sweater suggestions because if I'm going to rock a new sweater every show, I've got to find some new ones. So let me know some of your favorites, some hidden gems, or if you just want to send me one on the low, maybe I'll buy you a Patreon account or something.
I'll jump on that train too.
Oh no, not you, not you, listeners. I know you're not going to buy me one. Come on now.
Oh well, I guess if you want to buy me one too, then I'll jump on that train.
Hey,
just kidding. You don't
have
to
a free world.
But all right. Well, this is Josh and John signing off. Have a good one, folks.
Good night, world.